Hey guys, Peter here to tell you about the latest from Rob Zombie, The Great Satan, out February 27th on Nuclear Blast. The album has 15 tracks, 39 minutes in length, and this is his 8th full-length solo album. He's an American rock metal artist. When it comes to the design of the record, I'm not a fan. I feel like the album lacks purpose. It lacks a sense of direction. It's very chaotic in how it all comes together and how the songs are presented. It doesn't feel like there's a rhyme or reason for the order of these tracks, and there's no real idea of what you want the listener to feel like when experience this record from first all the way to the last song. Adding to that, you have a few interludes throughout this record that also don't add anything to the experience of the album from an overall standpoint, but also to the songs around them. For me, the point of interludes are to just really help create a bridge between songs, or at the very least try to create a more sense of sequence throughout the overall album, helping develop and helping bring to life what the overall experience of the record is supposed to be like. I don't get that from this album. I definitely don't get that from these interludes. And I think the best way to describe that overall lack of purpose and lack of direction is that this record has 15 songs, 39 minutes in length, and to me, listening to it, it didn't feel like 39 minutes. It felt like it was an hour long, because you just don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. You're in a tunnel, but the light never really comes. And I think that says more about the way the album is designed than it speaks to the individual quality of the songs. Because when you go into the sound of this record and when you go into the songs, this is a Rob Zombie album through and through. I don't think you're going to get anything on this record that you wouldn't be expecting from either a White Zombie record or from a Rob Zombie record. This album has a little bit of both worlds combined into one. It's kind of hard to separate them to begin with, but this is an album that stays true to what he has done as an artist over the years. It's a very eclectic sound, a sound that brings in psychedelic elements, it brings in industrial elements, it brings in electronic elements, metal elements, rock elements, and then it always finds a way to create really interesting hooks when it comes to the choruses, sometimes both musically and vocally, and sometimes more vocally than musical, but there's always that idea that the choruses have to be hooky, the choruses have to be catchy, and memorable just by association, and then creating tracks that have a little bit more movement, a little bit more texture, that offer a little bit more of a rich overall sound as far as the verses are concerned. So this album brings all of that together. I would say at times the album feels very industrial and very psychedelic. I think those are perhaps the two biggest influences as far as the sound is concerned on this record throughout. At least those are the ones that rise to the surface a little bit better, the ones that showcase themselves a little bit better. But when you look at how heavy the album is, top to bottom, you cannot look at that heaviness and disregard the guitar sound, for example. I thought this album, while not being an outstanding guitar sounding album, is an album that guitar-wise offers a lot. It offers grooviness, it offers great melodies, it offers heaviness, it offers different textures within the guitar sound and within the execution of that same guitar sound. So it's an album that is not one-dimensional as far as the guitars are concerned. They definitely add a lot of value to the overall richness of each individual song, and they definitely help put a fingerprint on each and every single track on this album. There's not many songs on this album that sound alike. I can think of two that sound alike outside of those two, which is Fuck the World 84, the opening track, and the one that follows it, Tarantula. These are the two closest songs sonically. Everything else on this album is very versatile, very diverse, but still within the realm of Rob Zombie. So the album doesn't necessarily feel disconnected sonically, because it's easy to find the red line and connect all of these tracks together because they all sound like Rob Zombie songs. But the disconnect happens more in terms of finding a more clear path from one to the other, considering how individualistic they are in nature. Then you also have the drum sound that, in my opinion, could have been a little bit more developed throughout. I like the songs when they become heavy. The drums really add to that heaviness, and that's something I really enjoyed. You felt a little bit more oomph out of the drum sound on the heavier side of the overall sound, but when the songs felt a little bit more industrial, when the songs felt a little bit more psychedelic, The drums lost a little bit of that umph, and they became a little bit more robotic in the way they're approached in the tracks. Not as much freedom to be creative. The freedom that we see on the guitar side at times doesn't really exist on the drum sound. The drum sound is a lot more consistent. It's a lot more narrow in terms of what it gives, in terms of what it is, and the impacts that it has on the songs. You can almost feel exactly what's coming next because it never really deviates from the path. Vocally, the album is a Rob Zombie album. I honestly, I don't have anything negative to say on a vocal standpoint. I think this album, I also don't have anything extremely positive to say. I think it's just a Rob Zombie album. So if you're a fan of Rob Zombie's vocals, then this is a record that is going to check that box for you. I didn't feel like he took any liberties. I didn't feel like it's a record where he underperforms. I thought vocally the album was very consistent. Like I said, very Rob Zombie-like from top to bottom, and really helping emphasize the lyrical content on the tracks. He does that really well. And those hooky choruses, part of those hooky choruses are not just the simplicity of the lyrics and how easy they are to memorize, but also his vocal delivery adds to how hooky those parts of the tracks really become. So I think this is a vintage Rob Zombie vocal performance, top to bottom. But all of this put together still makes me feel like this is a very chaotic record. It's a record where you can definitely take individual songs out of the context of the album. A lot of the songs on this record could work as songs belonging to a soundtrack of a movie, and in that case it would have worked a lot better because you're going to have different scenes calling for different ideas, for different vibes, different atmospheres, and this record sonically and vocally would be able to deliver that on point. But as a full-length record, it feels really bumpy. It's an album that's very hard to feel 100% connected with it and feel like the experience is connected all the way through. So it lacks from that perspective. It lacks from an overall idea perspective in terms of what you want to create from an overall experience, but it definitely offers interesting options as far as the individual songs are concerned. Speaking of those individual songs, I picked 3 tracks on this record that, outside of the singles, these 3 definitely stayed with me, and the first 2 are kind of tied in together. The opening track is F.T.W. 84, Fuck the World 84, and the next song after that is Tarantula. I picked these 2 tracks because to me it's really hard to separate these. If you're listening to the album and you're not really paying attention on what track you're on, these 2 songs kind of feel like one single track. They have a lot of similarities between them. So it's very difficult to pick one and not pick the other, because I honestly feel like you can get more out of the experience by listening to them back to back. Now, Fuck the World 84 kind of reminded me, it's not as groovy as Thunder Kiss 69, definitely not as groovy as that song, but it has some elements that I saw in that track represented again, just under a different light in this one. It's a heavy song, great guitars, great drums, adding to that overall heavy experience that the track has. There's still a lot of grooviness in this song. The guitars also bring grooviness, not just heaviness, to the way the track develops. It's a track that has a big sound, big volume, big presence, super catchy, specifically once you get into that chorus. And the lyrics are easy to remember. The song has this fist-pumping attitude to it, and that chorus really represents that well. That rebel nature within that we all have in terms of giving the finger to the world, and this song captures that essence so well, specifically once you get into that chorus. But it's a song that's catchy not just in the chorus in terms of what it offers vocally and lyrically, but even musically. Now, the electronic side of Rob Zombie's sound comes through in this song quite a bit. It adds also to the overall heaviness of the track, but there's also a lot of psychedelic elements in this song. There's a lot of psychedelic elements in the overall record, but this song starts to showcase them, and being the opening track, I think it sets the tone for what the rest of the album is going to give you. Then you have Tarantula coming right after. Very similar, like I said, sonically, very similar. Even to a certain degree, the vocal experience, very similar. Obviously, the lyrics are different, the track is not quite the same, but it's very easy to see where the 2 could really merge together and see why the 2 come back to back. Really allows to extend the experience, something we don't see from that point on throughout the rest of the album. That sense of sequence, that sense of uninterrupted sequence. It's really these two opening songs. Now this track still feels like it blends all of Rob Zombie's influences really well. Industrial, electronic, metal, rock, psychedelic, everything coming together. Vocally and musically, like I said, a lot of similarities to F.T.W. 84. The chorus is very hooky as well, but it's a less chaotic song than Fuck the World 84. It's a more concise song. It's a more compact song from start to finish. And the heaviness that this song has becomes a lot more consistent because of it, top to bottom. So it's a song that feels a little bit more controlled. It feels like it has a more of a sense of purpose and direction, and is not as all over the place, which Fuck the World 84, at times it feels like it's bursting at the seams. Tarantula never really reaches that point. It's in the realm of it, but it never really reaches that point. Then we have Sir Lord Acid Wolfman. I mean, if it wasn't enough to have acid in the title of the track, this song really sounds like something you would think of, or something you would experience if you were on drugs or if you were on acid. It has an incredible psychedelic presence to it. In the sound, in the way the vocals come in, the first verse, super electronic vocal style delivery. So it's a song that just really brings in that psychedelic influence into the sound, into the lyrics, into the vocal performance, allowing the track to be very unique from that standpoint, because I think on this album, this is the most psychedelic driven song of the entire record. It's also a song that gives a lot of room for the vocals to breathe, and at times in the verses, the vocals are the ones leading the song, versus once you get into the chorus, which is more has more of a robust nature, and it becomes a little bit more sound, vocals working together as one to separate that portion of the track from the more vocally driven verses that the song definitely delivers. I love the psychedelic elements in this track. I love the stripped down aspect of it, feeling a lot more like a rock and roll psychedelic song with some industrial elements in it, but staying very true to that psychedelic genre and creating a song that really resonates within that world. This is it. Rob Zombie, The Great Satan, once again out February 27th on Nuclear Blast. Hit me up in the comment section, and I'll see you all at the next video. Take care, guys.